scheduled and then went horribly awry. It was one of the most eye-opening experiences of my life to receive health care in the United States. This is one of the hospitals where the president of GE is going. If they don't care about the president of GE, you really think they care about, schlubs that are just average working stiffs? No matter how much the healthcare system would try to keep me down, I'm back. Personal voyage through the nightmare that is our healthcare system. We seem to be, Regina, a society or a system now in healthcare that is just trying to shove the patients out that door as fast as they can. Getting well in this country can actually almost kill you. Or at least sap your brain of all of your rationale.
Now, I don't think it's inconsistent to recognize there's a problem and be against this abomination, but I do think it is inconsistent to say that there are no problems with our healthcare system, and that it's the best in the world, and then turn around and say how much of a disaster it is. Now, I may be a skeptic of so-called universal healthcare, but that doesn't mean I'm blind or a lying flip-flopper like Glenn Beck. Anyone who has two brain cells and can put them together can tell you how economically and morally bankrupt our healthcare system clearly is. But the more government involvement in healthcare is going to make it more morally and economically bankrupt, not less so. The more government is involved in regulating something, the more the industries it is supposed to regulate will use that regulation as a tool to insulate themselves from competition by regulating smaller companies out of business and building government-sponsored monopolies funded by taxpayers, subsidies, and bailouts, and getting lucrative government contracts by bribing high-level politicians and government agencies like the FDA, which shouldn't even exist under the Constitution, to approve medications which are often far more dangerous than they are helpful, as they have done with the swine flu and all other vaccinations, many of which are forced on children in order to attend public school, even though there is no law requiring such a thing. And even if there was, it would be unconstitutional. It would be an abomination against all that we hold, the truth we hold self-evident, that all men are created equal. Here is Glenn Beck digging even further into the political gutter, if you can believe that, by smearing 9/11 families.
Let me be real honest with you, and I don't think anybody on talk radio, I don't think anybody in their right mind is going to ever say this out loud, but I wonder if I'm the only one that feels this way. It took me about a year to start hating the 9/11 victims' families. It took me about a year. And I had such compassion for them, and I really, I wanted to help them, and I was behind, let's give them money, let's get started, all of this stuff. And I really didn't, all the 3,000 victims' families, I don't hate all of them. I hate probably about 10 of them. But when I see, 9/11 victim family, on television or whatever, I'm just like, oh, shut up. I'm so sick of them because they're always complaining, and we did our best for them. And again, it's only about 10. But the second thought that I had when I saw these people and they had to shut down the Astrodome and lock it down, I thought, I didn't think I could hate victims faster than the 9/11 victims. These guys, when you see, and it's really sad.
Yes, how dare 9/11 families ask questions? How dare they be anything more than just political pawns? How dare they ask questions about assuming the official story is true, which it is clearly not, which even if it is true is the greatest intelligence failure in the history of our republic could possibly happen. How dare they not be good slaves and get on their knees and lick their government masters' boots? But that's not even the worst of it. Here's a guest on Glenn Beck's show wishing for another 9/11 style attack on us, and Glenn Beck actually agreeing with him instead of saying how utterly insane it is, like any rational, reasonable person would do.
So you have seen this. Do you really honestly believe that we have come to a place to where those very senior people in the highest offices of the land, Congress and the White House, really will not do the right thing in the end, that they won't see the error of their ways?
No, sir, they will not. The only chance we have as a country right now is for Osama bin Laden to deploy and detonate a major weapon in the United States, because it's going to take a grassroots, bottom-up pressure, because these politicians prize their office, prize the praise of the media and the Europeans. It's an absurd situation again. Only Osama can execute an attack which will force Americans to demand that their government protect them effectively, consistently, and with as much violence as necessary.
Which is why I was thinking this weekend, that would be if I were him, that would be the last thing I would do right now.
And he even resorted to racism when it suited him, as he has done in this interview with the first Muslim elected to Congress, Keith Ellison, which I will play now.
History was made last Tuesday when Democrat Keith Ellison got elected to Congress representing the great state of Minnesota. Well, not really unusual that Minnesota would elect a Democrat. What is noteworthy is that Keith is the first Muslim in history to be elected to the House of Representatives. He joins us now. Congratulations, sir.
How you doing, Glenn? Glad to be here.
Thank you. I will tell you, may we have 5 minutes here where we're just politically incorrect and I play the cards face up on the table?
Go there.
Okay. No offense, and I know Muslims, I like Muslims, I've been to mosques. I really don't believe that Islam is a religion of evil. I think it's being hijacked, quite frankly. With that being said, you are a Democrat, you are saying, let's cut and run, and I have to tell you, I have been nervous about this interview with you because what I feel like saying is, sir, prove to me that you are not working with our enemies. And I know you're not. I'm not accusing you of being an enemy, but that's the way I feel, and I think a lot of Americans will feel that way.
Well, let me tell you, the people of the 5th Congressional...
Oh, yeah, I'm not accusing you of being the enemy, but, oh, yeah, you're totally in cahoots with Osama. Yes, you love him. Seriously, how would Glenn Beck like it if someone asked him as a Mormon to prove that he's not a polygamist? Or how would he like it if someone asked him to prove as a Mormon that he's not pulling a Warren Jeffs and marrying underage girls because a handful of perverts did that? That must mean it's true, right? All you fans of Glenn Beck out there, for these and other reasons, you're being taken for a ride. You're getting screwed! This is only a few examples of Glenn Beck betraying the Liberty Movement. I could dedicate this entire broadcast to him if I wanted to. And this will probably not be the last time I talk about him, but there are other things to cover, so... But before moving on to my next story, I'm going to see if I have any calls. If you wish to call into the show, my number is 646-378-1514. Once again, my number to call into the show is 646-378-1514. Do I have any calls from anyone? Do I have any calls? No, it doesn't. I don't really see any calls here, so I'm just going to move on now. Now, have any of you in the audience ever seen the episode of Futurama